Let's go! Charge win 2-1 in overtime against the Toronto Raptors in the final game of the season to clinch a playoff spot in the 2024-2025 Walter Cup playoffs. We got the tablet out for this one because we in the future, we got the tablet out for the notes for this game. That was scary. The only way going into this game, there were two ways we could make the playoffs. Three ways. If we went to overtime in the Minnesota-Boston game went to overtime, we'd make the playoffs. If we won in any fashion or Minnesota lost in any fashion, any of those could have happened. And right out the gate, Minnesota was bullying Boston. Our game started first, so there was some fear that, if we lost the game, then we would have to watch the Minnesota-Boston game to see what our fates would be. And it was very clear that even though our game would technically end first, the Minnesota-Boston game was over. I can guarantee you that most Boston fans who were watching their game and watching our game, flipping between the two to see if Boston would make the playoffs, every single one of them was watching overtime, and the second we won, they were like, okay, so we've missed the playoffs. It was the biggest blowout in PWHL history. Three teams in the final day of the season fighting for something. And technically, Montreal, when they started, they were fighting for something. Once our game ended, they secured first overall. The only team that quite literally had nothing but pride to play for was New York, who already clinched first overall, so that was guaranteed to them. And that was kind of it. They were just playing for pride at that point. Everybody else had something. Toronto needed a regulation win to secure first overall. I'm surprised that they didn't pull their goaltender. I actually thought that if we got down to it, they knew that they were going to finish top two. So home ice advantage was secured for Toronto. The only way they could have clinched first overall is with a regulation win. An overtime win was kind of meaningless to them. I thought that they would have gone for broke and said, well, you know what? We need to win in regulation, so let's win in regulation. Because if they didn't, whatever, then they just finish in second like they did anyways. But they didn't do that. Now, there were a few reasons, including a strong end of the period. But I thought during the power play, the late game power play, I was actually a little surprised. I thought Toronto would have just tried to seal it up, put the game away, put the season away, and put a bit more of the pressure on Montreal. Mind you, Montreal did take a pretty quick 2-0 lead over New York, so I don't know if that played a role or if they just didn't want to pull their goaltender in that situation. They weren't fighting for playoffs. They were fighting for a very, low chance of maybe getting first in the regular season standings. So I understand why they didn't. In hindsight, I'm glad they didn't. I'm really glad they didn't because it made us fight for this win and not just kind of hand it to us on some, wimpy, we scored on an empty net in a tied game goal. That would have been I would have been happy still. I'd still be celebrating, but that would have been a lame way to make the playoffs. The way we made it is beautiful. It was the pinnacle of us exercising our demons this season. You compare this season to last. Okay, first comparison I want to make. We did have 7 games where we lost by a goal this season. If you remember last season, that was a trend, losing those 1-goal games. Now here's the thing, despite 7 games that we dropped by 1 goal, we won 9. We had 9 games decided by 1 goal in which we won. This could have made it 8-8. And instead, we finished with a winning record in 1-goal games, a 9-7 record. And this is excluding overtimes. We had 2 overtime wins, which means we have as many 1-goal wins in regulation as we do 1-goal losses total, which is great. But just in general, that shows so much improvement. Last season, that was the line on the team. In these close, tight games that are decided by 1 goal, the Charge couldn't win if their lives depended on it. And at the end of the season, their playoff lives really depended on it. If you changed one of those losses into a win, could have made all the difference. Look at that. Look at the difference. What was the other? Can't win in overtime. Can't win in overtime. Can't win in overtime. Now, we didn't have like the most amazing overtime record this season, but like we did okay. I believe it's what I've got my notes right here. We have 4. Yeah, 4. 4 overtime losses, 2 overtime wins. That is not good, but it's not terrible. That's a normal. Like, it happens. It wasn't the like incomparable kept losing in overtime and shootout last season, where we finally beat Boston in shootout, but it was too little too late at that point. This was, we got 2, we dropped 4, it happens. And also, we dropped 4, which means of our 7 1-goal losses, 4 of them we got a point out of. Night and day, night and day. Now, throughout this game, especially if you were following me, if you know my Reddit, or if you see me online, I was saying that I thought jobs depended on the outcome of this game. I really think that goal very well may have saved Carla and Hirschfield. I really think that if we lose this game and we miss the playoffs again and we blow it at the end of the season again, you need to change things. Like that's it. There's no other option. But I'm glad we made it. And to those who are like upset that we should have lost this game and missed the playoffs to get a new head coach or a new general manager, what are you even talking about? You do get the point is to win, right? And I can maybe understand that argument in the NHL where the playoffs is 4 rounds long. But let's look at last season, the one season we have as an example. Minnesota limped into the playoffs. By all accounts, they should have been gone in 3 games. They were en route down 2-0 in the series. They looked like they were gone, like they were about to be eliminated. And then they rallied. They got hot. They won 3 in a row to eliminate Toronto. And that got them to the finals where they put up a good fight against Boston. And it went to game 5 and they won. And they were Walter Cup champions. And they still fired someone. Like, it's possible. In fact, I'd argue in some ways it's potentially probable. There are some, some rumblings that maybe Carla would just head to Vancouver no matter the result of the season. We could win the Walter Cup and still end up with a new coach, with expansion on the horizon. And also, this is feasible. Like, we're 6 games away from the Walter Cup, not 16. We are 2 rounds. Round 1, it's the semis and then the finals. That's it. This is the original 6, okay? So you can have a so-so season. By the way, we ended up tied with, like, in a 3-way tie, and we were closer to Toronto than Toronto was to Montreal. So, I have a tough time saying, like, clean house. And the other thing is, and I got it right on this paper, you got to look at our first half of the season compared to our second. Our first half, I'm surprised nobody got fired. 17 points in 15 games. 5 regulation wins, no overtime shootout wins, 2 overtime shootout losses, 7 regulation losses. That is a terrible record. A record that in other leagues does get you fired. And then the second half of the season hit. And we had 7 regulation wins, 2 overtime wins, 2 overtime losses, and 4 regulation losses. In 15 games, we only dropped 4 in regulation. We won a total of 9. We got points in 11 of 15. We got points in 11 of 15. That is top of the league level good. That is amazing. That is a night and day team. Now, if instead it was 8 wins, that's a bit more middling. But in the big moments when it mattered most, we won the games we needed to win. There were scares. Don't get me wrong. That New York game, Maschmeyer getting injured. But at the end of the day, we came together and we won when it mattered and made the playoffs. So, as somebody who has floated maybe it's time to see some changes. I got 100% buy-in right now, okay? I'm a full believer. Go Charge, go. Let's win the cup. Let's bring Walter home, okay? And I'll never get wanting your team to miss the playoffs. I said before, I'll say it again. Playoffs, the whole point is that it's hope. It's that you met the cutoff of, you know what, you at least deserve to stake a claim at the championship. You're good enough to at least say, hey, I think I deserve to be champion. And then we put you in this gauntlet, and yeah, for teams that finished lower, the gauntlet's going to be a little bit tougher. But at the end of the day, all else is equal. Just win the games. And that's where I got to say, okay, Minnesota, I thought was going to be the selection. I really did. Because I thought, again, our second half was really good. And I thought Minnesota's second half, like, it was good, but I don't think it was nearly as good as ours. And Montreal, I'm not going to lie, their second half wasn't great. I also wrote theirs down. And their first half was a monstrous 34 points in 15 games. That is supernova. That is so good. Their last 15, 3 regulation wins, 4 overtime wins, 2 overtime losses, and 6 regulation losses. 19 points. That's 2 points. 2 points better than us. That's 1 regulation loss being an overtime win. That is scary. In the second half, we aren't just better than them, we're better than them by 2 full regulation wins, by 6 points. We are objectively the hotter team going into this. So I'm a little surprised that they took the third best team, which, yeah, we finished top 3 in the league. We finished in the top half of the league. Montreal selects us. When we clinched, it guaranteed that one Canadian team would make the finals, and that we would face a Canadian team. Looks like we aren't going to get a third Battle of Ontario in round 1, though there is still a chance that ends up being the Walter Cup final. I like our chances. You know how watching my Sens videos and I was like, oh, my expectation, get to game 6 at least. Oh, okay, we lost in 6. No, I'm not going to be happy if we lose this year. You hear me? I want to win, eliminate Montreal, make them regret ever having selected us. Take that as a slight. They actively chose the team that finished higher in the standings. Are you kidding me? And I don't know if any of the Charge players watch my videos or any of the Charge staff. But if this gets to anybody on the team, be angry. They disrespected us. They said, oh, hey, do you want to face the worst team to make the playoffs? And Montreal said, no, I'll pass. I think Ottawa is who I want to play instead. Do you want to face the team with less regulation wins or more regulation wins? Well, less regulation wins objectively should be the easier team to beat. That's just how basic statistics works. I'll take Ottawa. I want to get mad. Okay, listen to me. Everyone, every Ottawa Charge fan, every Ottawa Charge player, everyone part of the staff, get mad. They wanted us. Make them regret it. Make this go down as one of the biggest blunders in PWHL history. Because we're hot. And we are not the same team from last season. Oh, but look at Montreal's record against Ottawa. In the first half of the season, yeah, it was great. It was great in the first half. What happened last time we faced each other? Oh, was it a last minute jailbreak goal? Is that what happened? To lose 3-2 in a game where you could have clinched a top 2 spot? Is that what you did? Where you just needed to make it to overtime and with 12 seconds left, you gave up a jailbreak goal. Oh, you want to face that team? Huh? Bring it. I say bring it. We got Charge Avenue, okay? We're ready. And by the way, I love that we've got Charge Avenue. We have the Sens Mile, we have Charge Avenue. This city embraces this team, loves this team. And I can tell you this. Oh, when you come to Ottawa, you're not gonna get your little section of Montreal fans like you would when the Habs come. No. And I want to be loud. I want to be aggressive. I want to sweep them, actually. I want them to continue to be the only... I want them to, at the end of the season, be the only Canadian team to have never won a playoff game. We can make them eat their decision. Can you tell I'm pumped? Okay, let's break down the game. I thought we had some early looks, but Toronto took over pretty quickly. They kept playing our end, and it wasn't the best start for what needed to be the best game in franchise history. But the shots is where it matters, and they were low. You know, they might have had the puck in our end. They weren't shooting the puck, and Phillips did well when they did. And with less than 5 to go in the first, we got our first power play, and I actually kind of felt it was almost a must-score opportunity just to, like, get momentum going. At the very least, pepper the goaltender, and it was not good. If there's one thing that I'm concerned about most going into the postseason, it's got to be our power play. There have been times where it looked really weak, and this was an example. This game, it was not that good. Toronto easily cleared it. They burned a bunch of time, and then right at the end, we take a terrible penalty. I mean, the period's almost over. Just dump the puck. Just clear it. We're in our own end with the puck. Just clear it, and instead we take a bad penalty. But we got a strong kill. And the start of the second, we got a strong kill, and good start to the period. There's a play where Jenner almost scores. It's tipped wide. Jenner, when she scores, this team does well. She's going to score in this game, and this team did well. A scramble in front. Need to score. Campbell's sprawled on the floor. We can't find the back of the net. This is exactly what I mean. How many times did I say that last season, and even sometimes this season? A lot of those same things came up, but we just had that fraction of a difference. This is that exact type of game that we lose 2-1 in overtime last season. But we had this much of a difference. That's all it took. That was the difference between us making and missing the playoffs last year and the same this year. But we found that difference. Jenner to Mrazova goes wide. In the second period, we really did take over the game. We played a lot better. And I actually felt going into the third tied was not good. Because I thought that we should have had a lead. And it was during the second period that the Minnesota-Boston game started. And it had just started. And I was like, I'll check the score, Because, in case they have to follow, Minnesota's up 2-0. Okay, so this is a must-win game. Okay. And despite all our chances, all the pressure in the second period, it reminded me a bit of the Minnesota game. Where 0-0 after 1, the second period for a good chunk of time stayed tied, but Minnesota had all the pressure, and eventually they scored a goal. They took a 1-0 lead, and then in the third period, they got some insurance and an empty netter. I was hoping that we could do the same. Instead, we give up a goal. And I can't blame anybody. It was an amazing move. It was Sarah Nurse, right? And just watch it is a beauty. It's a beautiful... If I wasn't so biased, I would have been a lot more wow. Being that this was a do-or-die game, I was furious when it happened. But now, now that we made the playoffs and it has time to sink in, what a goal. I can't even be mad. What a goal. A beauty, and Toronto's up 1-0. And this is when I really started thinking... People will lose their jobs if we don't get back into it. And again, last season, Toronto took the lead, 1-0. Final game of the season, need to beat Toronto or we're out. And after that, we couldn't get back into the game. This game, we got a quick response from our captain, Brianne Jenner. Beauty of her own, top shelf, scores 1-1, tie game, and that is where we go to the third. We have them in a pressure cooker. All the pressure in the world in the second. After that goal, we heated up even more. But it stayed tied. Do or die period. That's it. Third period, either you win or you lose. A bit of a slow start, but we quickly find our game. Toronto got some pressure, but our defense does all right. We're stifling their chances. Again, doing a good job of preventing shots on goal, which is, when things are most deadly. And I was like, we need a huge push. We need a huge push. And we get a golden opportunity. We got a power play. And again, the power play's not enough. It's better than before, but not close to what we need to win the game. And a turnover on our end, Toronto nearly ends it. But Phillips, who I'm going to talk about Phillips at the end of this video. I know I'm rambling on, but Phillips makes a great save. And I thought that Toronto was getting a bit better as the period went on. We're getting some pushback, though. We push them back, and then with under 5 minutes left, we've thoroughly outshot them, thoroughly outplayed them, thoroughly out everything them, but we haven't outscored them, and then we take a penalty. And there were so many opportunities for Toronto to end. They had like a sequence where they had 3 great chances. And Phillips stops them, covers up. We kill the penalty. We get to overtime. Now it's true do or die situation. If we score the next goal, we're playoff bound. You're looking at the score in Minnesota, they're up by like 5. Like, that game's done. Everyone's watching this game. Everyone in the P, every PWHL fan has their eyes glued to their screen because they know one of 2 things happens. Boston backs into the playoffs off of a Toronto goal, or Ottawa exercises their demons in the most satisfying way. Emily Clark out the gate, high pressure. We lose the faceoff, and Emily Clark basically just dogs Toronto, just attack dog. Gets the puck, gets a good look. It's stopped. Toronto gets the puck for a bit, and again, Phillips is great. And as time's winded down, maybe halfway through overtime, again Toronto has the puck in our end this time, and it's Emily Clark again. Emily Clark was a woman on a mission. She was making the playoffs. Come hell or high water, she was not gonna let this season end the way last season did. She strips the puck, passes it up to Mrazova, and she scores. She shoots, she scores. Mrazova, after being out with injury for so long, comes back and plays the role of the hero with the biggest goal in Ottawa Charge history. Katarina Mrazova, Boston season's over. And the Charge win and make the playoffs off of a beautiful snipe. I don't think I've screamed that loud after a goal in a while. Definitely the loudest I've ever been after any Charge goal ever. Beauty. Art. Perfection. Oh, exorcism. And the last piece of the puzzle that I need to talk about before the playoffs is, of course, Gwyneth Phillips. Gwyneth frickin' Phillips. She came in under not great circumstances. We're in the middle of a playoff push trying to get back into the race. 9 games to go in the season. And our starter, Emmerich Smashmeyer, one of like our original core 3, goes down with injury. I think a lot of people thought that was the season. The Phillips is good, but, we didn't just need to make the playoffs by like playing. Okay, we needed to mount a comeback. And what did she do? Just play the best hockey of her life. 5 wins. 5 wins. I think only one of them was the overtime. Was 1 or 2. In either case, She got us 9 points, I believe it was. 9 points? 9 or 10. I can't remember. All I know is I think it was 5-3-1. 9 games. She went 5-3-1. Or 5-1-3-1. Or 4-1-3-1. In any case, she did really, really good. She did above and beyond the Call of Duty. And I don't think she gets enough credit for that. She saved our season. I don't think Mashmeyer would be healthy enough to play game 1. If she is, you start Gwyneth Phillips. She's earned it. I'm genuinely not sure who you protect in the expansion draft. That's how good she's played. She has saved our season. And now we got a chance to face Montreal. And I don't want... Oh, I'm not going to be happy if we lose in 4 or 5. No. No. Win. Win round 1. Win round 2. This is our opportunity. I'm glad I'm going to get to keep saying this a bit more this season. I hope I have at least another 6 games of this. As always, go, Ottawa! Go!